Okay, geographers, more fun, more GIS fun. Today, we're going to be getting into uh, what's called geoprocessing, which is it's a made-up term. Look, it's one of these things that Esri decided, we need to stick geo onto the front of everything, just to make it kind of our deal. It was like a branding move, but we're stuck with it, and it's kind of a general term across the industry for taking multiple data layers, multiple feature classes, and comparing them in some way. We're going to go through a variety of methods of ways to do this, and different geoprocessing tools. Some are quite simple, some can be complex, but this is where we really start to get into some spatial analysis, right? Where we're getting into taking different features and seeing how do they relate. Is there some kind of relationship between them, or specifically looking at a certain area where multiple things are true or, happening in reality? That's the idea. So this is some good stuff. Um, okay. So for our exercise today, I have in Canvas this geoprocessing1.gdb. So download that, unzip it. I also created this new map project. I just called it GeoPro underscore basics, because that's what we're doing with this first one. We'll do some more geoprocessing, but the idea is for this one, just want to show you where the tools exist, how to access them, talk about some basic things. And by the end of this, and I'm kind of making this up as I go, if it's not obvious watching this in the first minute, but I have an idea. We'll do something. We'll do some analysis, produce a map by the end of this video or the video series or whatever. Okay. So go ahead and pause, download the geodatabase, make the map project, get to this point, remove your base map stuff in here. So we're being professional, right? And then when you're ready to go, let's get moving. And so with this, so you bring in your copy your geoprocessing one geodatabase into the project folder, and if we open it up, it might, I don't know what it'll look like for you initially, but the first thing that I want to point out is that I included in this one a feature data set, which is like, you can think of the file geodatabase as like a big file cabinet, a big container. Yeah, this data set is a like a folder in here, right? It's a little sub container. And then if I open that up, I've got my actual feature classes in here, right? A handful of things I've added that we're going to play with. So far, I haven't been using these data sets, mainly because they weren't necessary for what we're doing. But when we get into geoprocessing, one key thing is that we want to have all of these feature classes in the same coordinate system. Okay? You don't have to do this. It's not absolutely crucial, or you won't be prevented from doing things. But if you want to do good analysis that you're working through here, you want to make sure that all these feature classes that you're comparing in space have the same projected coordinate system. So what I did to kind of force this here was I created this feature data set, and I just named it UTM underscore NAD 83 because I used the UTM North American Datum 1983 Zone 11, because we're mainly going to be looking down in LA County in Southern California. And this is stuff I know I haven't fully gotten into yet. At least I don't think so. With how these videos are going to come out and stuff that's going to be in Canvas, it's kind of stuff we'll delve into in later classes in the certificate program. So don't worry, about what Zone 11 is and all this stuff if you haven't heard of it. But the main point is, while ArcGIS is able to do what's called project on the fly, where it's able to take things from different coordinate systems and still line them up. And it's impressive what it can do here. But when it's doing that, the math it does to locate where things should be, it's kind of quick. It's fast and dirty just to get stuff showing up. If I'm doing real analysis, if I want to get answers for something and make decisions, I don't want fast and dirty, right? I want to have everything be as accurate as possible. And so to project this stuff initially and make sure it starts out in the same coordinate system, that ensures that there aren't going to be these silly little math errors that can happen with that on the fly projection. That's the quick answer. You don't need to worry about this so much right now, but I just want to point it out that's important when you start really working with this stuff. So I've done all that for you. At a later date, I'll show you how to do that stuff. But that's what this is right here. All right. Of these different feature classes, let's bring in this counties one first. So just left click and drag, bring it in. And some stuff disappears because, again, I use this UTM zone 11. I don't really care. No offense, Maine. But I don't care about these outer areas. I'm really interested in California. But I just included this entire counties of the U.S. file right here. But what we can do, one thing that we can do to kind of get rid of this other stuff, and we've done this before, and this isn't really geoprocessing yet, but we can get in and select out some just the counties that are in California, right? And we did a definition query before. Today, what I want to do is let's go to your map ribbon up here. So this first or second one that says map, and then look at this selection. I don't know, section here. I don't know what all these terms are, but what I want you to do is click select by attributes. So what this does, let me move it over to the right screen. So with select by attributes, we're looking at the attribute table, and we're saying, hey, find anything that has this specific bit of data in a specific field. This is what I want you to select, what I want you to pick. So we'll do new selection and ignore that. Down here, we'll go where. We'll hit the drop down and let's do state name is equal to, remember, I think we've looked at this stuff multiple times at this point. We've got options, but we don't need to be creative. Just is equal to, hit the drop down, select California, and I'll hit add. Oh, I don't need to add clause. Sorry. I'll hit apply just to make sure. Okay. And so you can see it's selected just the California county. So I'll hit OK. I'll say, all right, cool. Thank you so much. Since I don't care about these other ones, what I'm going to do, I'm not going to get rid of them. I don't want to delete these other things, but I'm going to export and create a new feature class that is simply these California counties. So I'm going to right click on counties, go to data down here. See, there we go, and export features. I'll bring this over. Okay, and so in export features, input features is counties, and I have checked right here, use the selected records, 58. So it's saying don't export everything, just the ones that I've actually selected, right? And then output feature class is going to be this new file, right? This new feature class, something totally separate from this counties one that will just be the California counties. So with this, I'm going to click on it, right? And so it's going to put it in the GeoPro _basics.gdb thing. I kind of don't want that. I want to put it with my other stuff just to keep everything together. Just to be a little OCD about it. And it's good when you're doing this this kind of analysis, make sure all your things are together and it makes sense and you know what you're dealing with. So I'm going to hit this browse option. Let me move this over here. So my project, I can go into folders. I can come in here. I'm going to come into double click in Geoprocessing 1. I'm going to double click in this UTM NAT 83 to keep it here. And I'm just going to call it cal underscore counties so that I remember, okay, it's still counties, but it's just the California ones. It makes sense to me. So I'll hit save. And so that just changes that right there. I'll leave this other stuff alone. I'll hit OK. I'll let it work its magic. And this is one thing I absolutely love, is that it makes sure that when you do something like this, it adds the new feature class, but it makes sure to make it the exact same color. So you can't really tell if anything worked. Let's just change this really quick. Properties, go to, green, have it stand out. So there. Okay. It's way too early in the day for that green. Let's do something a little more subtle. There you go. So, okay, we can see that it actually worked. Now, this blue, we still have the selection going on with these, the rest of the counties. And it's a good move. Once you've done what you need to do, and you see that turquoise blue, go ahead. There's no reason to keep it, and hit this clear button. So it's just this white square with some lines going through it. If I hit that, the selected things go away. Okay? And what I'll also do, just to help out with the processing speed and effort that my computer is dealing with, I'm going to get rid of all this extraneous stuff. Right? I don't need the counties in Nevada or Wyoming or wherever. So let's just right click and remove to get rid of it. Okay. And so that's another thing that's good to do as you're geoprocessing, as you're going through and altering things and adjusting things, intersecting, overlaying, clipping, whatever, these different things that we're going to be doing. If there's something you don't need anymore because you've created some new feature class, get rid of the old one, right? So you don't get confused, because by the end of some of these things, you could have 40 different feature classes, versions of things that you're not really sure which one is the right one or whatever. So keep track of that. Get rid of the excess, get rid of the irrelevant stuff, keep what you're working on, right? And the good news too, if I just remove it, well, it's not like I deleted it. It's not gone forever, right? I just got it out of the space, away from what I'm focused on, but I could always bring it back if I need to. You dig? Okay, so we'll hit save right here. Another thing I'm going to do while I have this right here is I'm just going to select LA County, which is this guy right down here, and we're gonna isolate some stuff to Los Angeles County. Just because, why wouldn't we? It's just such a wonderful place to live, right? So we'll do that. We can do it a few different ways. We can select by attributes and just do, county equals Los Angeles. We can also simply hit this select right here. You can see my cursor is a little different, and whatever I click, it will select, right? And it's a case, if you screw up, if you get excited, I get to select something by myself right here, and you click the wrong one, right? You get old Kern County up here. Don't worry about it. Don't stress. A few different things. Like if you accidentally click something and you just want to get rid of it, hit that clear. It's also a case that if I'm just hitting select, it's going to just select one thing, right? So if I hit the wrong one and I click here, it's not a big deal, right? And let's say maybe I wanted multiple counties, right? I want, Kern County as well, and Orange County, and a few of these different ones that exist around here. What I do to get all of them is I simply hit Shift and then select, right? And I hold the Shift while I'm clicking, so that'll add to my selection. But I don't want to do that. I just want Los Angeles County. So I'm going to select that so that I don't get click happy. Once I've selected that, I always try to go back to the main cursor, this explore one. My selection is kept, but I'm not going to accidentally keep clicking and selecting things. Okay, so from here, let's right click and do the same thing. Data, data. Come on, where you? There we go. Export features. Okay, and I want to make sure. See, it's again putting it in this GeoPro Basics one. Now I want to keep it all together. And there are a few different ways we could best handle this to keep it all in the spot. We could force it to do that. I'm too lazy right now. Maybe we'll do it if we do more of this stuff here. But I'm just trying to show the basic functionality at this point. So you don't always have to do this. I'm being a little lazy right now. Is what I'm saying. So again, we don't want GeoPro Basics. We'll do this geoprocessing. Double click it here. And I'll call this one LA underscore county because it makes sense. And I'll hit OK. And there we go. Yeah, make it the exact same shade of green because heaven forbid we, do something that stands out. Here, we'll do that. So there we go. Okay, it worked. I just have that. I'm going to clear my selection. And I'm not going to get rid of the rest of the California counties yet, because this is actually a nice way to show a geoprocessing tool, a simple one, but one that's quite useful in a variety of situations. Okay, so we've got this here. Hit save, just to hold what we got. Okay, now we're ready. This is actually pretty exciting. I hope you realize this is cool. You are going to, presumably for the first time, click on the analysis tab. So left click on that. This is the big stuff right here. This is where big kids go and what big kids work on. This is exciting. Okay, this is the you can see these tools in here. This is where we are getting in and doing some real analytical work and deriving actual answers and information. Okay, so this is pretty cool. I just want you to know. All right, got a bunch of stuff in here. We're not going to touch most of it in this intro class, but with this, you've got the main two things that we're going to be looking at. Actually, the main thing is just this tools one, but this ready to use tools, if you drop down, it's got some stuff in here, right? Nothing useful for what we're doing. But there's some of that. You'll get used to this, and there are ways to select favorites and different stuff. But the main thing is just left click on this tools toolbox right here, and it brings up this new pane, this geoprocessing pane. And so we've got, like it says favorites right here. I did not make these favorites. I don't know why that's there. Don't worry about that if you see different things or whatever. Recent will be stuff that you've used. Like this export features tool, we did that, right? That was technically geoprocessing, I guess, if you want to, use this as our guide, our select layer by attribute, same kind of deal. So that's saved there. If we click on toolboxes, we've got a whole host of things. And so we've got these toolboxes, and then if you open one up, you've got these tool sets. And in the tool set, you've got actual tools. That's what these little hammers are. And this scroll looking thing is a script. So something where there's a little coding that goes in where it takes existing tools, but it makes it do something different. So like we've got this split, that's the tool. And you can see too, so I hover over here, it tells you what's going on, right? What does that tool do? Which is kind of nice if it's not obvious. And then this split by attributes is a script that's been written to kind of extend the split tool. So it doesn't really matter for you when you're using this, whether it's a hammer or the little scroll, but that's what that means. Okay, so you can look through here to find something specific. It's a lot though, but I would encourage you to at least kind of scroll through, see what's there. And there's plenty of stuff that I have never used. Defense tools. I don't I don't defend anybody. So that's, I don't work in that, right? There's plenty of stuff. So don't get overwhelmed with these things. It doesn't mean you can't use them or they're difficult to use or anything like that. It's just there are a lot of things specific to industries, certain tasks, stuff like that. So some of these I've never used. Other ones, like the spatial analyst tools, you're going to live in this. There's a lot that we do. Spatial statistics, that's another good one in here. So you'll kind of get to know which ones are useful for the kind of stuff you do. And I just encourage you, kind of open it up, see what's in here. Some of this might be daunting, like, ooh, math. But it's cool, useful stuff. All right. So dig around in there. But also, if you don't know where things are located, we can simply search for stuff. And initially, with a lot of this, I'll tell you the name of the tool so we can search it. Like we're going to do the dissolve tool, right? So I can just start typing DIS and dissolve pops up right off the bat. Because it knows, like, come on, your chances are that's what you're looking for. But if it's not that first thing, you can keep typing letters. You can scroll down the different results. But what we want is this dissolve tool, this first one. Okay. If I click where it says data management tools, it'll take me right to the spot where it's at, right? So it's in the data management toolbox, generalization tool set, and dissolve. Okay. So I can click there. I just encourage you to do it. So you see the structure of these and you see other options. You see what else you can do. But you don't have to do that. Okay. If you let's go back here. I can also just click on it somewhere that isn't this and it'll open up the tool. Okay. I can also, oops, hold on. Let me come here. From here, I can click on it and it'll take me there. Okay. So different ways to get to it. It'll tell you quite often with these, hey, this pairwise dissolve, this one's a lot better than the garbage one you got. Don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. This is useful if you have massive data sets, if you're utilizing this, multi-core computing stuff, the things we're doing in here. Not a big deal. It's not really going to enhance your performance. As tempting as that sounds, it's not anything we need to worry about. So you can ignore that. Okay, with this question mark here, these are useful. Hover over these things. It shows you, and it's got little cartoons. It shows you what the tool does. It gives you a little rundown and then has some pictures. And so with dissolve, it's a case where we simplify the lines and we take like things when it's trying to show like attributes. And so we get rid of the barriers and borders in between those like attributes and just have the outer outline, right? It's to simplify things. And so what I want to do is just for the state of California with these counties, let's get rid of the county lines, right? Let's just have the boundary of California itself, but not worry about the counties. Okay, we're not really going to do anything with it once we do it, but it's something we can do. And it's a good first real geoprocessing deal. So input features, that red asterisk next to it means you have to do it. Okay, so if you see that, it's mandatory for the tool to work. And as I come over to it, there we've got this little letter I and a blue thing. That's another help deal right here. So it tells you what it is you're supposed to be doing here. The features to be aggregated means what do you want to actually dissolve? What do you want to have little interior lines go away from? Right? That's what it's talking about. So we want to select our California counties. Okay, then output feature class. This is a new feature class that's going to be created. And so the good news here, so when we're doing this output feature class, we're making something new. We're not permanently erasing these lines here. This Cal County's still going to exist. It's still going to be there, right? But we're going to make a new feature class where all of that goes away. So we'll have two, one that's just California, one that's the counties themselves. And so with this one, you know what? Because I don't really care, we're not going to keep playing with this thing. I'm going to leave this here in the GeoPro basics, but I'm going to call this one, how about just California? Okay, and then dissolve fields, while it's not mandatory, look, it's a case. If you don't do this, it's just going to give you the same exact thing, right? So we can hit this drop down and we can pick any of the actual attributes, right? Any of these fields to base it on. If I hit this drop down thing, add many, I can select multiple ones. I don't want to select multiple ones. Really, all I want to do is just say, hey, if it's a state of California, and they all have the state of California, we know that. So just blend them together, right? Aggregate them if they have the same state name. Okay, statistic stuff, that's fine. We can leave that. Multi-part features, we're going to leave that for now. Don't worry about that. That's not a big deal for what we're doing. Let run. So look at that. Check that out. It made it. And of course, it's the same green, but whatever. But we can see it's just the state of California. Now, a few things here. Down at the bottom, it says dissolve completed. We got the green and the green check mark. That means yes, everything worked. If I hover over it, it gives me a little rundown of, some different things that took place. I got some messages. What were they? It was basically saying, hey, everything's cool is what that's saying. I can open up the history. If it, basically, this is useful if it didn't work, right? So you'll have, I think it's the yellow exclamation point sign of like, it worked, but it might not be what you want. And then there's like a red X that's saying, look, it failed. It could not work. That's when it's useful to get in here and try to see like, what's the actual error? What's the problem? Where did it get into trouble? And then from there, maybe you can figure out what went wrong. And what usually goes wrong is you pick the wrong thing initially. You don't do the actual, dissolve fields or whatever it might be. You're putting in improper parameters, so it doesn't give you what it should give you. Okay. But luckily, this was simple and it worked. Okay. So we got that. And if I click on it, a few different things. So it just simply says state name California. It got rid of every other field from the initial counties one because I didn't want to keep it, right? I didn't select it. Over here with, son of a gun, let me pull that out. Okay, all right. Okay, all right, I'll close that. Got too excited, but because I only had state name here, that's all it kept. If I did a few others, it would have kept those other fields. Okay, so that's why it simply just does, it's still going to do that. Let me do this here. Simply has, try to avoid docking it, that California right there. The other thing, when I click on it, you see like Catalina and the Channel Islands, all these different islands off the coast also are highlighted when I select it. That's what a multi-part feature means. So it's a polygon feature class, but all of these separate polygons are attached together to the rest of the state. If I unchecked that, these would be individual features. There are reasons to do both. Doesn't really matter for what we're doing here. Okay, but this is what geoprocessing is. It's taking this stuff and changing it, analyzing it. Okay. All right, hit save and we'll keep going in video 2.